pray for America because we're under attack from within. The other big news, and I say big news and I don't mean to kind of diminish it because it's disturbing, is that there is an insurrection happening across our country. And most notably in Minnesota, that's where the left, as we've talked about, has focused its insurrection against the federal government in favor of anarchy and lawlessness, trying to get ICE killed, trying to aid and abet criminal illegal aliens from escaping detention under the law. And in doing so, they've gotten 2 of their own killed. You've had was it Miss Good, who was killed after she tried to run over an ICE officer. And this gentleman, Mr. Preddy, was killed the other day as he was, it looked to me, attacking and interfering with an ICE operation. And as he was taken down, it became clear he had a weapon in his pants, which caused him to be shot by ICE agents. And here's the video of that really terrible thing that happened. You don't want people to get killed, but it was something that happened because of lawlessness by the left, encouraged by politicians.
They're doing too much, man, and they keep pushing people, you know?
Oh shit! What the fuck? They killed him? Did they fucking kill that guy? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Not again! Are you fucking kidding me? That guy's dead. Yo, we need people on site.
Now, the left has lectured us that, oh, he was just an innocent bystander. He was, quote, an observer, which is a knowing lie. Okay? The left has an active network, well-funded, obviously, a very sophisticated network that I think members of the military and intelligence community would be jealous of in terms of the sophistication of it, to track ICE agents in order to get communists and other thoughtless folks, in my view, to interfere with law enforcement operations in a very dangerous way. And Preddy was one of those people. Good was one of those people. And there was a story out of CNN earlier in the week saying, well, you know, there's another incident that he was involved in and he broke a few ribs. And if reading the story, you would have thought, well, what happened? You know, was it a big deal or not? Well, take a look at what this Preddy guy was doing just about a week before he was shot and killed in similar circumstances.
This is a moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy.
Seems like a nice guy, huh? I mean, he looks psychotic in those circumstances. Now, does it mean he should have been shot in the circumstances a week later? Of course not. But it provides important context as to what was happening when he was confronted by ICE and what he was saying and doing and how and why he was resisting. He had a gun prior to that as well. I mean, to go and engage in unlawful attacks on ICE agents and assaults while you have a gun on you is exceedingly dangerous. It's not about the First Amendment. You can't attack anybody. It's not about the Second Amendment. You know, if you have the gun on your person in the commission of a crime, there are all sorts of issues that arise, mostly about the safety of the officials or the law enforcement officers trying to restrain you and detain you and prevent you from hurting them. And so, as per usual, the left has grasped onto this latest shooting to engage in more faux outrage, whip up incitement, incite more violence, and whip up further insurrection against the Constitution of the United States. Essentially, Minnesota is in succession when it comes to immigration law. Now, President Trump, he sees this and he's like, well, this is not good what's happening. Let me send Tom Homan there, and let's see if we can turn the temperature down a little bit to protect lives. Now, Homan had meetings with the governor, Governor Walz, and Mayor Frey, the crazed leftist mayor of Minneapolis. And supposedly they suggested they might be more cooperative with ICE. Well, I mean, do you believe that's going to happen? Maybe. We can keep our fingers crossed that things are going to calm down. But I don't think they are. I mean, the left is what they are. The old maxim, it's an old title of a book. You can trust the communists to be communists. So Tom Homan comes out and says, look, they promised more cooperation. If we're able to go and get illegal alien criminals, these are people who violated other laws other than crossing the border. By the way, crossing the border illegally is also a criminal violation of the law in most circumstances, and remaining here illegally is also a criminal violation of the law. On top of that, you have aliens who commit additional crimes while unlawfully present. And what's happening in Minneapolis and Minnesota generally is it's nearly impossible to get those people given to ICE for deportation after they serve whatever sentences or detention lengths of in Minnesota local and state jails. Supposedly, the Department of Corrections is at the state level is cooperating, but other jurisdictions aren't. So they say they're going to cooperate, including the Attorney General Ellison, and who's a hardcore leftist as well, while inciting violence against ICE. So I don't know how it's going to get resolved. But, my view has always been, the president should invoke the Insurrection Act. There comes a point when it's a federal problem, right? The mayor and the governor and the attorney general are an insurrection, so they can't be relied upon to protect their citizens from these illegal alien criminals and to protect federal law enforcement officers and other Americans. And that's what the Insurrection Act is about. Does it mean they're literally an insurrection? They technically don't have to be literally an insurrection in order to invoke the law. It's like, is the law capable of being enforced through ordinary means? And if it isn't, you can go, the president can deploy the military to enforce the law. So in the least, I would recommend that the military be deployed, folks who are trained, hopefully, in crowd control, to secure areas where ICE is going to detain these criminal aliens that are released as a result of these sanctuary policies in Minneapolis and other areas in Minnesota. So if they have to go to, 5th and Main, 4th and Main is protected, everywhere is protected. There's a perimeter that's secure so that the detention can take place without people getting killed. These communists want to get people killed. They'll kill their own. If others get killed, that's fine. It's something that they can leverage. They're obviously advocating for the killing of ICE agents. And it's spreading. We have the mayor of Seattle using government resources to target and incite violence against ICE. We had the governor of New Jersey, the new governor who's just coming in. I don't know if she's been sworn in yet. Using government resources, state resources, to harass ICE. You have the district attorney of Philadelphia engaged in a conspiracy of sedition and insurrection against the government of the United States, working with other local district attorney leftist nut jobs to try to target ICE agents. He calls them Nazis that need to be hunted down. What's going on in Minnesota is comparable to what went on in South Carolina. You have a local government, remember, they're just at the start of the Civil War, Fort Sumter, federal fort. The South Carolinians didn't want the federal government there, told them to get out. So this is successionist Civil War type mentality that the left is running, and we're all supposed to pretend it's normal? And what is it in response to? The president's people going and removing dangerous people off the streets, pursuant to the rule of law. And the response of the typical, as I call them, loser Republicans and the dishonest left is, oh, well, maybe we should have amnesty for millions of people now. Well, that's ridiculous. In my view, everyone who is unlawfully here should go home. There are ways to induce them to go home. I know there's programs to actually help people. They give them essentially money to fly home, self-deportation. Or they can be detained, or they can just figure out, well, I can't do this anymore. I can't live here illegal anymore. I have to go back to my home country. So things have gotten a little bit calmer because Tom Homan is such a smooth character, and he's hopefully folks have a little bit of room to back off in Minnesota. But Walz is a terribly corrupt governor. He's having to leave because of the billions of dollars of corruption that essentially he allowed to happen on his watch with the Somalian community there. And the hard communist left is running the show to Minnesota. So people like Frey and Ellison and even Walz, they can't cross them. So I hope these crazies are ignored. And I tell you, if it can't continue the way it's continuing. So the choice for President Trump, and kind of the unpleasant choice of President Trump, either he's got to stop the apprehensions because his people aren't safe, and the public around them, when they're engaged in the apprehension, is just creating too much danger to the public safety. Or, in my view, this is what he should do, is deploy whatever federal assets, including military assets under the Insurrection Act, to secure. I posted the other day, and I'm not going to read it to you, but you can look it up. I want you to do, this is your homework for the after you're done watching me here. Go and look up George Washington's proclamation for the Whiskey Rebellion, where he deployed federal troops. And it was up in Pennsylvania. The farmers were mad that there was a new tax. And so they were literally an insurrection. They were, started burning stuff and, essentially threatening federal authority. And President Washington was having none of it. And his proclamation could, in large measure, be applied to Minnesota on the Whiskey Rebellion. So, and my point in drawing your attention, I want you to read his proclamation. You can see, you're all smart people, you'll see where it's applicable directly to people like Walz and Frey. That if the president does invoke the Insurrection Act, he would be following in the footsteps of presidents like George Washington. So I oppose amnesty. I oppose communist revolutions. I oppose leftist attempts to murder ICE agents. I oppose incitement of murder against ICE agents and federal law enforcement. And you might say, well, of course, Tom, of course you oppose all that. Why would you say that? I say that because there are politicians who don't oppose that. Or there are politicians who aid and abet and support and encourage people who want to get people killed. So Judicial Watch will continue in Minnesota to investigate these issues. I know we have FOIAs pending. So it's not just I'm talking about it. We're going to keep on pushing and pushing to get the details of how this is operating, who's funding it, analyze that. What's the network of communists and their funders? And also the reactions and the lawlessness and the details of that from the responsible/irresponsible state and local officials in Minnesota. So you can be sure that we'll do what we can under the law to figure out what's going on and try to expose and hopefully prevent more bloodshed by the left. But in the meantime, pray for America because we're under attack from within. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.